But man, Fitz, there's so many teams out there that I don't know what the answer is as far as how they're hurting when you start to look down that list.
I mean, the one that really jumps out to me that's been really impressive is the 49ers. And you talked about a system. You talked about, teams that have this setup and structure to where they're going to be successful and can be successful no matter what. But look at what Shanahan has done the first 3 games of the year. They're 3-0. Nick Bosa on IR. I just saw that. But let's just look at the offense real quick. So you start the season with wide receiver 1 on the PUP list, right? Brandon Ayuk, he hurts his ACL, MCL last year, week 7. Not back yet, but potentially back pretty soon. In the first game of the season, you lose George Kittle to a hamstring injury against Seattle. You put him on IR. Then after that game, you get the news that Brock's shoulder's a little sore. Oh, and he sprained his TCL. Yeah, that's an injury formerly known as turf toe for those interested.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're not going to call it turf toe now?
No, he sprained his TCL. So Brock misses the last 2 games of the year. Juwan Jennings goes out with a shoulder. He misses last week. And if that's not enough, they've lost both of their starting guards. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it seems like the 49ers have been cursed for a while with these injuries. But now they're sitting at 3-0. They're atop of their division. They've won 2 division games. Christian McCaffrey has been healthy. But the good thing is when you have injuries, other guys have a chance to emerge. Ricky Pearsall, in the season he is having so far, he's an emerging superstar. And then you kind of, if you can get through this and you start bringing some of those guys back into the lineup, in the end, it ends up helping you. But the other thing is their defense has played great. And you talked about like a situation you want to go into as a backup, hand it off to Christian McCaffrey, throw checkdowns to Christian McCaffrey, and have a defense 2 of the weeks that gave up 13 points and 15 points. I think that's where you want to be if you're backing up. And I think Shanahan's done an incredible job with all the injuries they faced so far this year.
You mean you don't want to be in a critical situation in the game where all you got to do is get a field goal and all you can do is just throw a halfback screen? Like I was like, man, who do we think this ball's going to? Do we think it's going to anybody else other than Christian McCaffrey one way or another? I'd probably have somebody on top of Christian. But look, you just call it, halfback screen in a critical moment of the game, kick a field goal, win the game. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It goes back to that identity question. We knew when Robert Saleh went back there, like this was going to be the Niners that we saw years ago when you got 2 unbelievable coordinators and Shanahan calling the plays on offense and Saleh on defense. It was going to raise the level because people forget the last time they made this run when they got in the Super Bowl, they were there. And then also the year they had where they had a ton of injuries and still got themselves in that opportunity. Robert Saleh was there as well. So he's actually coached this defense through a year like that already. So they've got a lot of experience, the 2 of them, because they had a couple of these years where it's almost like they're healthy for a year and they're dominant. And then they've been injured like crazy for a year and they just keep fighting and winning games, which is really impressive. And to start 3-0, with all of this going on around them, people are like, oh, eventually it's going to catch up. Well, let me tell you what else catches up if you start 0-3. And to start 3-0, they've got a chance to battle themselves into the playoffs and hope that they get a couple guys back. Obviously, Nick Bosa won't be one of those guys, which is a massive factor. But they got a chance to battle themselves into a playoff team now because hopefully they'll get some guys back, they'll get healthier, and they can fight their way back. Now, on the other side of it, you could be the Dolphins and have 17 guys on IR or whatever it is, and you're losing O-linemen, you're losing everything, and then on top of that, you've got heat coming at you about not winning. I mean, Tua is getting criticized, the coach is getting criticized, and it's like, where's the positive that we're trying to draw to say, hey, how do we move forward and get out of this storm?
In our game, the Dolphins-Bills game, I mean, you look at the back end, they're completely decimated. You look at their offensive line, they're decimated, but that defense in the second half against the Bills, they played well enough to win. They really did. And so some of these games, like, you have to be proud of the effort. We're going into our Thursday night football game this week, and the Cardinals are in the same boat with all the players, 14 or however many it is on IR. Their defense has been decimated. Now, luckily, the big boys up front on that D-line, a lot of those guys are still healthy, bringing in Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, who I don't know how he still does it. The dude is an absolute savage. He draws the holding call to get the safety at the end of the game. And Sweat is another guy that's been playing really well for them, but they just have so many injuries on the back end that it's tough. And then the hardest one, and this is one of those things where injuries in the NFL are just tough. And you had a great story last year about Higbee, but James Conner goes down in that game. And you want to know how well respected he is. Why don't you just watch that? And you watch every single Cardinals player come off the sideline because they knew it was a serious injury, just to kind of wish him well. And you watch every single defender from the 49ers on that field come over to James Conner and tap him on the head and say, "We love you, man. Hope for the best." Those are those gut-wrenching moments. But as a player, when you're in that moment, you hate it, but you also feel the love, all the respect that he got from both sides.
Yeah, I think those are those moments as a player. I was watching it and I looked at first and just like it was kind of threw me back to see how many guys from both sides were all in that big circle. And it reminds you how special our game is. Like, even when the animosity and all the crap and trash talk and everything, when you see a guy who I think universally everyone has the same kind of respect and admiration for who they are, just a true warrior, that true warrior respect from other guys. It's really cool and special to see. And you just hope in those moments they feel it. I can remember getting wheeled off against the Seahawks when I blew out my knee in 2020. And I felt it. To have Russell and, Dwayne Brown and all the guys from the Seahawks coming over and giving me love while I was sitting on the cart and giving me a little hug. Like, it's that moment where you realize how special the game is and those brotherhood, man. It is a true brotherhood we get to play in. It's really cool. And we love all the other stuff. But, at the end of the day, when it all comes to it, I think we all have a general appreciation for the legends we get to line up across. That's for sure.
I never wanted to go down on the field, right? Even if it was a sprained MCL or tweak this or that. I never wanted to be guys sitting on the field. And I just remember the one game where I got hurt and I couldn't get up was when I fractured my tibia. And I knew right when it happened. I was playing for Houston. We're in Indianapolis, playing at the Lucas Oil. I knew my leg snapped in half. And I was, that adrenaline rush where it didn't really hurt yet, but I just knew something was wrong. I went to try to stand up and it just wasn't functioning. And that was the first and only time I ever got carted off the field. I think even when I hurt my hip, with Washington, I was able to walk off, but I knew something was wrong. But you're right. In those moments, the thing for me was like, I got to call my wife because Liza has never seen me down on a field, not able to get up. And so the second we got into that tunnel, I took the guy, one of the trainer's phones, dialed her up, and I said, "Hey, I'm fine. I just broke my leg. I snapped it in half, but it's going to be okay." Because those are those moments. It's like if you've never seen it before, I had never felt it before, I knew that they were going to be worried. So that's like that, and then having to go home on the plane. We made the decision I would be okay to get on the plane. Getting carried up and down those steps to get on the plane might have been the most painful 2 minutes of my life. But after that, put a rod in there. We got fixed up, got some screws, and we are good to go.